Hi you guys, it's Juliet here. Today we're going to be making this gorgeous bracelet. It's a lot of fun to make. It uses chenille stitch and peyote stitch, but with rounds, Miyuki rounds. And this is a bracelet. I made a version of this, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I'll share that with you here. And I shared it at the beginning of my ombre earrings tutorial. I showed you the bracelet, and I always meant to share the bracelet with you, and I kind of forgot about it. And recently somebody watched that ombre video and was like, oh, I'd love the tutorial for that. So here it is. So this time, last time, you can see that I used silver lined beads, and it looked gorgeous, and it looked like a stained glass window, and I absolutely loved it, and it sold right away, so I don't have it anymore. So I thought I'd try it with gold galvanized beads, and I love the look of this as well. So you know, it's a really great bracelet. Mine is about 7¼ inches long. If you used a bigger clasp than these little you know, spring clasps, you could extend the length, or you could extend the length of your peyote sections if you needed it a little bit bigger, maybe do, you know, 1 extra row on each end, okay? Or you could do what I did here. I made a mistake, and I should have had another row of colored beads right here, and I messed up, so I just added some more gold on the end. So if you needed a little extra length, you could just add a bit more, you know, in the clasp area. Anyway, it's a really fun bracelet, and let's just dive right in. Okay, so our bracelet is going to consist of 4 panels of our chenille stitch and 5 panels of our peyote stitch. So this section, the peyote section, there'll be a section on each end, and then there'll be 4 of these. This section is made by joining, when you're joining the pieces together. So I would recommend you make your 4 chenille pieces first, leave a thread attached, whatever extra thread you have. Should be enough to then sew the peyote section onto the bracelet. So right now we're just going to focus on making our little panel here, okay? And our panel is going to be 5 flowers. I'm going to call these flowers because they kind of look like little flowers to me. So 5 flowers wide and 4 flowers high. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So you're going to need, for this section, you're going to need 8 O's, and you're going to need 11 O's for your accent color. And I'm using the galvanized gold as my accent. And the 8 O's I'm using are a Miyuki mix, number 28, and they're from Caravan Beads. I got this. So what I did, there was one color in here that I decided I didn't want to use, which is a kind of purple color, and I didn't really, I'll show it to you. It's like a clear purple, and I didn't really think I wanted that in I thought it was too wishy-washy. So I didn't want that in. So I picked out all the rest of them. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 colors here. For my seed beads, I don't have the corresponding mix, so I just picked out 6 different color of 11 O's that are kind of in the same. I mean, they're not necessarily the same. I mean, these might be the same, but I don't know. I mean, these might be the same. Actually, these might be the same, but definitely this is not the same as that, because this is a matte and this is an AB shiny one. So it doesn't matter, and I don't have any of these brown shades. Let's see here, I've got this matte brown and I've got this dark shiny brown. I don't have any of those in my 11 O's. So it doesn't necessarily matter if it's the exact color. It just has to be in the same family, because your eye is going to fill in the holes for you. So don't worry if you don't have exactly, you know, if you're doing like reds and pinks or whatever and you don't have the exact right ones, that's okay. Just stick to a color scheme, okay? So don't worry if you don't have the exact ones that match. You know, your 8 O's and your 11 O's don't match exactly. That's okay, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so we're going to be using quite a big piece of thread. Just get a wingspan, you know, 4.5, 5 feet of thread. I'll just thread up my needle and I'll show you how to do the little panel. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put on a stop bead, and I'm just going to use an 11O bead for now. It's going to come off in just a second. I've already got tangled and I haven't even started the video yet. Okay, I think I'm free. Yeah, okay. So just push that down, you know, leave your 4-inch tail and just go through the bead again, and that will become your stop bead. So I can just pull that off with my nail or slide it up or down. So just make sure you're leaving, you know, 4 to 6 inch tail, enough to weave in at the end, okay? All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick up the first row here of our colors. Now you could plot it out to make a pattern if you wanted. I like to do it randomly. I kind of make it up as I go. All right, so I am just going to start here, and I am going to pick up 2 of each color in a row. So I'm going to pick up 2 blue, 2 this dark brown, 2 green, maybe 2 teal, and maybe 2 of this matte brown. Okay, so I've got 5 pairs of color on my needle, and I'm just going to push that straight down to my stop bead. Okay, so that is my bottom row of flowers in the order in which I'm going to pick them up. Now, at the end here, what we're going to have on each side is we're going to have a whole series of 11O beads, and that's what we're going to build our peyote off of. Okay, so we're going to build this little row of beads as we're going. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up our little end bead, and then we're going to pick up the same color as our last flower, just one of those, and then we're going to pick up one more of our 11Os, which will be the middle of this flower right here. So if this is the end, we're picking up the side bead here, the top bead here, and then the middle bead here. And we're going to sew back into the second bead of that flower. So the one that's closest to all the rest of the stuff on our needle, okay, on our thread, sorry. Okay, and you want to budge all of that up so that it's kind of tight up against your stop bead. Okay, so you don't want a ton of slack in there. It's okay if there's a little bit of slack. You just don't want a ton. And don't worry about which way it's facing right now. What's happening up here, it's going to look a little goofy and lopsided. That's quite okay. All right. So now we're going to pick up one 11O, and we're going to go straight into the next bead, which is this teal bead right here. Okay. And we're going to add one 11O in between every single bead that is on this line. So I'm coming out from the teal now, picked up an 11O, and I'm going into the very next bead. And we're going to do that, like I said, the whole way around, and you're going to make sure that you are pulling tight enough that the 11O kind of sits like halfway in between. You know, it's not all the way in the middle, but it's kind of poking out to the side, but it's definitely nestled in between your 2 8O beads, okay? And you can slide your stop bead down a little if you need a little slack in order to achieve that. So just pick up one 11O and go into the next bead. Make sure he's sitting kind of in between them. and just keep going along like that. And your little line of beads is gonna twist and turn around and look a little bit like a caterpillar at this point. So don't worry about that. You're doing fine. Just keep going and making sure that your 11O is kind of nestled there in between your 8Os, okay? So I've only got a couple more to go here. And what we're doing here is we're creating the outside edge and the inside edge, which is the center of the flowers, at the same time. So we're actually building 2 rows right now. Okay, and then my very last one. So I'm just going through the last 8O and pull that, nestle it in there, and then I can pull my stop bead off. So remember, I added that 11O stop bead at the beginning. So now we just have our 8O beads, and it's all kind of twisting and turning all over the place like a little worm, okay? And I'm coming out from the end here. So we're gonna do similar to what we did on the other side. So this is our turning bead here, okay? And then we're gonna pick up whatever color you picked up for that very first flower is the color you're gonna pick up one of those, okay? And you're just gonna go straight into that very first gold bead that's sitting right there. So here we are, we've turned around, okay? So now we're gonna need the second or the 4th bead of this flower here. So we have to pick up another one of those. And the first, I guess the 3rd bead of this flower. So whatever color this unit is, you're going to pick up one of those. So pick up your 2 beads. So I picked up this color, then this color. And then you're going to go into the gold bead that's between 2 of the same color. So the 2 browns here. So just skip that one down there, okay? Just go into the 2 that are the gold bead that is between the 2 of the same color, and see how this is going to sit like this, okay? So now I need to pick up a brown and a green. So I'm going to pick up a brown and a green, and then I'm going to find that gold bead that is in between my 2 green beads. I'm going to go straight into that, okay? And your beads will align as you're going. They should all start to lay in a line, and the ones that have the gold in between will pop all on one side, okay? So now I need a green and a teal, it looks like. So I'm going to skip this one, and I'm going into the one between the 2 teals. Okay. If I can get in there. All right. And again, your beads will just kind of align themselves. You can kind of help pull them down, but they will align in the correct direction. Okay, and then lastly here, I need a teal and a brown. And here, so I already picked up the very end brown bead, okay? So I'm just gonna go into this gold bead that's between the 2 brown right before the end brown bead, like this, okay? And you may need to kind of jiggle it. So I'm coming out from this middle gold bead that's between these 2 brown beads here, okay? See that? And this is my bottom row because it has the little gold accents, okay? So I'm gonna go down into the bottom corner brown bead from the gold bead in the center. I'm just going down into this bottom corner, okay? So I went from this bead into this bead. I'm going up the side bead right here. And then I am going to pass through both brown beads on the top row, okay? Now I'm going to pick up one gold bead, whoops, one of my 11 O's, and I'm going to go through both the teals on the top row. And I am not going into, do not go into the 11 O. You're just going through the 8 O's on the top row, okay? And so that bead is just going to sit right there. Again, I'm just going into the 2 greens on the top row. So I'm working my way back down the row to the end, okay? So just keep adding one 11O in between each pair. Now this end here, which is the end that our tail is on, is an easy turnaround. This end here is a difficult turnaround. Well, it's not difficult. You just have to remember to go down and circle around to turn, okay? So this one is very straightforward. I'm just going to come straight out the end here. All right. And then I am going to pick up one gold bead and my 2 next beads for whatever color flower I'm going to put right here. So I think right here I might put, what have I not used yet? I haven't used this this kind of darker, actually that's a dark blue. I'm going to use this gold, okay? So I'm going to pick up my 11O and my first 2 gold beads, and then I'm going to go straight into the next 11O that's sitting right here. And I'm just going to pick up my whole next row, just 2 at a time, of whatever beads I want to use. So I'll use these ones here. And then I'm going straight into the next gold bead. All right, here I'm going to use maybe these beads. I haven't used them yet. And I try, and when I'm doing it, I try and kind of triangulate my colors a little bit. So I don't want them all next to each other. I kind of try to build like little triangles of colors that, you know, so I kind of think about that. I usually don't put more than 3 of one color, and I try and just build random triangles, okay? If that helps you. I mean, obviously, if you wanted to, you could plot it all out on a graph, you know, if you're really into that sort of thing. I am not going to do that. I think I'll do these. No, I've already done that right there. I'll do this. It's just kind of a matter of keeping away. So at the very last one on your row here, we're going to have to go back this direction. So we're going to turn around right now before we add our beads. So you're going to dip down into the 2 8Os right here, okay, down below. And then you're going to pick up your next 2 beads. I think I'll use this green right here. And what I like to do is go through the 2 brown beads down below again. Okay, so I'm going through them again. Sorry. So there's my 2 beads sitting on the top. And now I'm going to pick up my end bead right here and pop up into that very first bead on the row above. So on this side, you always have to go down and then add your beads. Whether you're adding 1 or 2 depends on whether it's your first row or your second row up here. We're just going to add 1 and then circle around, okay? So on this end, that's not your tail end, you're always going to go down, and up here it's just a very simple, easy turnaround. So here, now we're going to add our 1 gold bead for the middle of our flower, and you're just going to go through the next 2 8Os. So in my case, it's a green and a brown. And I'm going to just add those beads all the way along. Just going through 2. So here I'm not going through the same color, I'm going through 2 different colors. And that way I'm just adding the, you know, the middle of the flower. Okay, and here I can only go through one. And then here it's an easy turnaround. You just pick up your gold bead, and then here I'm picking up the second part of this flower. So, and then you're just going to go straight into your gold bead. Just like that. Okay, so that's an easy turnaround. So now I'm picking up this flower and that flower. So, and you're just going to go straight into the next gold bead. So then I've got a blue and then this kind of lighter matte blue. And then I've got the matte blue and the brown. So this is actually really fun once you get into it. And you'll get the hang of it because, like I said, you're going to be making 4 of these. So by the 4th one, you'll be a pro. Okay, so at the end here, I'm going into the last gold bead here, and I'm going down into the green bead down below. Okay, so that, remember, here's the weird turn. And then I'm picking up a gold bead and a green bead. Okay. I'm going to go into the green bead again that's down below, just the green bead. I'm going to go up into the gold bead right here. Okay. And then I'm going to go into that very first, sorry, both of the green beads here. Sorry, both green beads. So just travel through both of your green beads on the top. And then this row, we're going to be adding a gold bead in between each of our flowers. So here I'm going through the 2 brown color, then I'm going through the 2 matte blue, through the 2 dark blue, and through my 2 gold. And here we have an easy turn. So I'm going to pick up 1, and I think I'm going to pick up this teal color here. So pick up my gold bead and my teal color, and I'm just popping straight into the next 11-0. Okay, so I'm going to fill in this row here. So at the end here, remember, don't add until you've gone down. So go through the 2 green ones down below. Then pick up your 2, whatever you want color, and go through those 2 green ones again. Okay. And you just have to remember that you're coming up to that end. And then pick up a gold bead and you go up through that very first of the pair above. And then we're going to add again our row of little gold beads by going through 2 11-0s, sorry, 2 8-0s on the top row. Okay, and then here I'm going to add my end gold bead and then pick up the color that is down below right here. Okay. And then you're just picking up whatever color is underneath where you are. And then here at the very end, you're going to go down through the 11 and your 8-0. Okay, you're going to pick up that end gold bead, and you're going to pick up your very last colored bead, and you're going to go through the 11-0 and the 8-0 that is above. Okay, and so there we have it. So I just have one more row to do. So now I'm just going to fill in my my gold beads really quickly. Okay, so when I said one more row, I meant one more row of flowers. So now I'm going to pick up a gold bead, and whatever color I want to be right here, I'm going to use this, this dark brown. I'm going to fill in my color choices here. And when I get to where I'm about to add my last one on, I'm just going to cut down below through those two teal that are already there. I'm going to pick up, I'm going to pick up my last two colors, which are these ones. I'm going to circle through that teal again, and then I'm going to pick up my little end gold bead and pop up through that first bead. Then you're going to add your row of gold beads in between. And then one more time here, we have again an easy turn. We just pick up our 11-0 and then whatever color our flower is and pop straight into that 11-0 that we just added. And then we're going to finish out our row here in the same way, just going into the gold beads. And then right at the end here, once you've added your last pair, you're going to again dip down into that 8-0 that is already there. You're going to pick up an 11 and the last 8-0, okay? And you're going to go into the 11 and back up into the second bead of that little flower unit. And then we're going to add one more row of our gold beads in between our flowers for the end of the edge. Okay, so here we are, and here is my panel. Now leave the rest of your working thread attached and make 4 of these panels, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to join them together with our peyote stitch, okay? Okay, so I have now made my 4 panels. Obviously, I've already joined these two together, but I'm just going to grab one of my panels, and I still have my thread and my needle attached onto it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to build up the sides, and sometimes here I do have a join. I'm just going to check that all of my... Okay, yeah, so that bead there is not joined on. So there should be a thread that goes in between the 2 beads, but if there isn't, we're gonna just sew around the edge to reinforce the whole little edge area, okay? I'm coming straight out from the corner here. I've picked up one of my 11-0s and I'm gonna go down the gold 11-0. So we're just adding 1 bead at the corner, okay? And I'm just gonna go down and I'm gonna fill in with 1 11-0 each gap here. So I'm just grabbing an 11 and I'm going down into every single bead that runs along the side, okay? And I like to use the Miyuki rounds for this, just because that's what I'm using in between the beads. And I actually think the rounds give a nice texture. You could use your delicas if you wanted to, but in this instance, I kind of like the look of the rounds, so I would recommend trying it with rounds. And now obviously the necklace that I showed you at the beginning, I was using the just silver line. Here I'm using gold. So, you know, depending on the finish of your beads, but I think If it's a shiny bead, I think the rounds give a nice look. If you don't like that, you can use delicates. And then right at the end here, I'm going to add one more bead, and I'm going to pop right into this teal and this teal, okay? And I'm going to scoot along the edge 8 O's here. So remember how I said we just want to make sure that everything is joined okay. So I'm just going to scoot down to the other side. Oops. And then here, when I'm exiting from this end, I'm going to repeat. So I'm going to pick up one extra 11O. I'm going to go into the next one, and I'm going to add one 11O in between every single one of these 11Os that are on the side here. So every one, you're just adding one 11O in between. Okay, so I'm going into the very last one, and then at the end we would just add one more. We're going to pop into the brown beads here, because I think these were the beads that aren't joined, so I want to make sure those are joined. This is why I like to run around that whole outside edge. And also, you know, the outside edge does get more wear and tear than the middle of the bracelet. Oops, I'm picking up a bead. I shouldn't be doing that. So it's kind of not a bad idea to put an extra thread down there, you know. Okay. Almost back to where we started. All right. Now, so essentially this is now rows 1 and 2, okay? So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to back out of that very last one there. I think that one is connected. Yeah, it is. If it's not, you could just circle around and then come back down again, okay? So I'm coming out from this bead here. I'm going to go into the middle bead of that little flower and then the bottom bead, okay? And then I'm going to go into the second bead right here. And I'm going towards the edge. Okay. So I'm coming out from the second bead, and so this is going to be a little bit weird, okay? So we're going to pick up an 11O, and I'm just going to pretend this one right here that we added isn't even here right now. And I am going to then just do one stitch, okay? One peyote, so I'm just, pretend that one's not there. This is the end of your row right here. You're just gonna pick one up. You're gonna go back the other direction, okay? Now you're gonna pick up a colored bead, doesn't matter which one you want to use. So you're gonna pick up one of your colored 11Os, and we're going to peyote, so we're going to skip the next bead here, and then we're going to go into the next bead. Whoop. And then we're going to do a gold. Hang on, I'm going to move my golds over here so I can see them. So I'm skipping the next bead, going into the next bead, and then I'm going to do, just one second, okay. And then I'm going to do another colored bead. So you're gonna do a gold, a colored, a gold, a colored, a gold, a colored, okay, and a gold. So there's a colored one. The next one will be a gold one. The The next one will be a colored. And then Next will be a gold. And then I am coming out from the end bead right here, okay? So this is just your standard even count turn right here. We'll have to do an odd count turn at the other end. I'm just flipping it over so I can work my way down here now, okay? So coming out from the top, I'm gonna pick up a gold, and this entire row is just gonna be gold, okay? So I've got a gold, gold, all the way down. Just doing normal peyote stitch, so pick up a bead, go through the next bead, pick up a bead, go through the next bead, and I need to get some more out. I will come back when I reach this end. Okay, so remember this bead that was just hanging out at the end here that we didn't go into? We're gonna go into it now, okay? And then I'm gonna turn around. So I'm gonna go into the bead here plus the one that is diagonal right here, okay? Because I have to do an odd count turn right here. And I'm just gonna go back through these three to get to the edge. So I just went through this one, and this one, okay? And now I can turn around. Okay. So here on this one, so before we did see where our colored beads are, now we're going to put them in every other gap. So not where those beads are, but where there isn't a colored bead. So just pick up one of your colored beads, go into the next bead on the edge, and then we're going to pick up a gold bead here because we already have a colored bead here. And then we're gonna pick up a colored bead for here. And then a gold bead. And I don't think I have this one yet. I'm just kind of picking up random colors as I go. So, and then this one, and then one more colored bead. I think I'll do this green right here. And this end is going to be your easy turning end, okay? So you're just doing your standard turnaround. So you just come out and you just pick up your next one and you carry on as usual. So this row is all gold. So as I'm going back this way, it's always all gold. And then going the other way, you're going to alternate the holes that have the colored beads in them, okay? So just carry on with your peyote stitch, and you're going to want to go until you have 6 beads on the top and the bottom. And then you're going to, once you have 6 beads on your top and your bottom, you can connect onto another section, but you don't want the section to be filled in yet, okay? So if you, like, see here, I haven't filled in the edges, so you could just fill in one side of the edge, and that way you'll be able to zip it together. So I'll show you that in a second. So I'm going to carry on until I have 6, and then I'll show you the zipping together bit. I forgot to say, because we're doing odd count peyote, when you get to this end, don't add a bead, just go through the beads that's already there, and then you're going to have to do a turn. So there are several ways to do it. You can either go straight into this bead again and then start again. You can go down into the first bead here come back up these two and then go down the bead and carry on, or you can come up here, go down these two, and then come up these three. And I like to kind of alternate which beads I go through, just so that there's not an obvious seam of where I'm turning around, because sometimes you can get like that little line of thread that just slightly separates the rest of your beads there, and it kind of looks weird. Okay, so here I am. So this will be a row where I'm doing a colored one, but I'm not going to do it where the colored ones are. I'm going to be filling in here, here, and here. Okay, so just carry on. So this turn up here is easy. This is an odd count turn. If you don't know how to do odd count peyote, there are lots of YouTube videos that show you. So you might want to learn how to do that first. Okay. Okay, so you can see I have 5 across the top, 5 across the bottom. I have 2 colored here, and I have 3 colored here. 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. Okay. So that means that I have one more row of gold to do to get down to the bottom. So I just did a row of color. You can see them on the edge there, okay? So I just do my simple turn here, and I'm going to go straight down to the bottom. And then here at the bottom, I need to do my odd count turn, okay? So I am just going to add 1 extra bead. Now, if you've already added your extra bead on the other side, that will be the bead that you are, you can go into that bead. Actually, no, if you've already added this, you're not even going to do that row that I just did. You would zip straight on. But I am joining onto a piece where I haven't done this edging. Okay, so if you have done the edging, stop when you get to the last row of colored beads, and then you can zip on. If you haven't, you'll have to do that extra row of gold, okay? So I'm just gonna add my last little corner gold bead right here. Do a turn. Hopefully everybody who watches my channel already knows how to do odd count peyote. I feel like most people that watch my channel are kind of intermediate, so hopefully you kind of already have that basic skill down. Okay, so now you can either join onto a section that you've already built, or you can, you know, if you're just starting off, you'll just join your first 2 bits together. So what I like to do is on my bit that I'm joining onto, I look at where is the thread, the long thread. So on this one, the long thread's on that side. So I don't want to use that side because I can use that thread for the next join. So I'm going to join onto the side that appears to not have any thread. And this is really, really simple. So I'm coming out the bottom bead. I'm coming out the bottom bead here, okay? And if I hold this here, you're just going to zip up into that first bead and then zip over into the next. Okay, so I'm going to go into the first bead on the new piece, okay? I'll separate it like this so you can see. Then you're just going to sew up into the second bead on that side, the second bead on this side, the second bead on this side. Now, if you haven't reinforced and you still have a little gap like right here, you can go back at the end and use your thread to reinforce that. So it doesn't matter when you reinforce it. You just want to make sure that at some point it does get reinforced, okay? That edge. So you might want to join your pieces together and then reinforce. It just kind of depends where your thread is and what you feel like is going to work best. So it's just a matter of zipping these little edges together. Okay. Oopsies. So I'm just sewing from one bead on one side onto the other, and there we go. So that is now zipped together. Okay, and from here I like to just sew straight back into my piece right here. I just feel like it could use a little reinforcement. If you don't want to do that, you can circle up here. So you're just going to join your pieces together like that, okay, and continue joining them all together. And you're going to have one extra bit of this at each end, okay. And then what I like to do, and I'll show you how to connect this. So do the same thing. You should have your 3 colored ones and then 2 rows of gold, so that there is 1 gold closing in your colored beads, okay? And then I like to use these types of clasps that kind of spring apart. And what I like to do is I actually sew an 8/0. I go down that last row and I sew an 8/0 on as a little decoration on each bit here. So, and it also adds like no length at all really to your clasp. So if you find that your bracelet is a little bit short, you could use a bigger clasp. If you find your bracelet is kind of getting long when you do your end bits, maybe don't do a whole section, maybe just do a half section. So you can wait until your middle section is finished, see how it's fitting, and then decide how big or small you want to do your clasp and your little end section, okay? But really that's all there is to it. It's a really fun bracelet to make. So I'm going to finish this up and then I'll come back and show you it. Okay, so I have made a mistake. It's actually the next day, and I did this end last night, and I thought I had done where I had my 3 colored, and I had only done 2, and I had ended it, done an extra row of gold and tied off my thread. And then I came back this morning, I was like, this end looks a little short, and I realized it was a little short. So I am just working on the other end right now. But because the clasp does kind of cover up some of the bracelet, I'm just going to add 2 more rows of gold so that it is the same length as these ones, and the clasp will just cover that. So if you kind of feel like you need a little extra length, or you make a mistake like I did, don't be afraid to just add a little bit of extra beads on, and you'll be good to go. So I'm going to add 2 more rows, and then I'll show you how to attach the clasp. Okay, so I've added my 2 extra rows on, and so the best thing to do is to hold your clasp and see where you're going to need to add some beads. So this middle row has a bead right here that I can use, okay? But here and here, I'm going to need to add, here, I'm going to need to add 1 bead right here and 1 bead right here. So I'm just coming out the top, so I'm going to just cycle down the entire next, this diagonal right here that my needle's kind of pointing at, okay? So just cycle around here. I'm going to add 1 gold bead right here, and just follow your beads. This is the middle bead that I'm going to be using, so it's good to reinforce that with an extra thread right there. And then I need to add also one bead right here. Okay, and then I'm just gonna zip down all 4 of those beads, okay? So now I have 2 beads, then I have 3, and then it dips down, and then I have my middle, then I have a little hill of 3, and then I have 2. And those 3 beads right there are what I'm going to connect onto. Okay? So coming out from where I am at the bottom, I'm going to circle back around, and I'm going to go up until I'm coming out from that top of the first bead that I want to connect onto. Okay, so this bead right here is the first bead that I'm going to connect my clasp onto. Okay, so I went and I grabbed some bead caps. These are I got these from Fire Mountain Gems. They're 4 millimeters wide. Okay, and I'll put a link for these down below. Any little thing, you could use a bigger bead if you wanted to here. Okay, so I'm coming out from one of those beads, one of my 3 beads, and I'm going to go up through my clasp. Okay, I'm coming out the clasp. I'm going to add a little bead cap, and I want I'm using it on the cupped side, so I'm just going to drop that down. That's going to help hold that on there. And then I'm going to pick up one of my 8/0s, and then I'm going to go back down through the bead cap and the clasp. Okay, and then I'm going to go, so I'm coming out from the top of this bead. I'm going to go into the bottom of this bead, and I'm going to work my way around until I get to the next bead that is the middle bead here, where I'm going to attach my next little connector. Okay, I'm going to go up through the hole again, the middle hole this time. I'm again going to go up into the bead cap. So I'm coming out from the cupped side. So I entered into the curved side. I'm going to pick up again an 8/0. I'm going to skip the 8/0. I'm going to go back down through that flower cap, back down through the hole on the clasp. Okay, and then again I'm going to go back into coming out the top of this bead, going into the bottom of this bead, and I'm going to work my way over to the next bead that lines up with my clasp. Okay, which is going to be here, and then I'm going to do the same thing again. So I'm just picking up, oh, I need to go up through my clasp first, and then picking up my flower cap and my 8/0, skip the 8/0, go back down through the flower cap and through the clasp hole on the clasp. Okay, and back into that bead that it's all connected onto, and then I'm going to circle around again. Okay, so I'm going to circle around again, and I'm going to reinforce everything here, and then I'll do the same exact thing on this side. Okay, so I'll add my 8/0s and the flower caps, and then my bracelet will be completed. So I will get that done, and I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, you guys, so I have finished my bracelet now, and you can see here how my little buttons, I like to call them buttons, look on the end. I think it's a very cute way to finish off the bracelet, and I kind of tried to somewhat coordinate them, but not perfectly. So I've got kind of two dark blue, two dark metallic, and then a lighter green and a teal. So they're not exact, but they're close together, you know. And I just love how this bracelet looks. I think it looks really luxurious with the gold, and it's really fun. You know, these little panels are fun, and the peyote is fun, and you know, it works up actually pretty quickly. So I hope that you make this bracelet, and if you do, I'd love to see it. Come and join our Facebook group, and I'll put a link for that down below as well. It's called Jules and Rose's Beading Buds. So yeah, just a great little idea, a nice gift for somebody, and you can make as many different colors as you can conceive of. So, you know, have fun playing with the colors on this. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.